We are a group of friends, bound by our appreciation for liberty and good podcasting. Free-minded thinkers from all walks of life, our values come together with one accord to discuss the common culture and news of the day, along with whatever random crap is going on in our lives. Welcome to the Union of the Unknowns.
Mike was muted. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Union of the Unknowns. Today we have a very special episode. We're going to be discussing Where Have Our Blue Skies Gone, which is a new book by Bettina Engler and our very own StellaQ. So we're going to get into all the ins and outs of this book and most importantly, where you can purchase your own copy. And before we get into it, I want to have our guests and co-hosts go ahead and introduce themselves. And then we'll get into how this story came into existence. With us today, I will be your host, Ashley, Think, Change, Repeat. And I have my fellow unknown, BigPerm. Hey, Perm.
Hey, good to see everyone. I'm happy to be here and excited to hear about this new book. My copies came in on Wednesday, so I'm happy to learn more about what I'm going to read soon.
Awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. I also have my 3 copies over here. And so Bettina, hello and welcome to you and your special guests, Maria and Abby. Why don't you do a little introduction of you guys?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, the unknowns, to have me tonight. And so my name is Bettina Engler, and I'm the founder of Geoengineering Free Canada. And about more than a year ago, I had this idea to publish a book for children about geoengineering and the lines in the sky, because I thought this is super important. It's very, very important to educate the children about the truth, what is really going on in the skies. And before we came here, we just had a bit of a conversation about this with Maria, what she was seeing up in the skies, a big giant lie. Yeah, in fact, it's a big giant line she saw, and I tried to explain this to her. So I would like to introduce you to my wonderful young ladies here. So here to the right, this is Maria, and this is Abby. And these are the children I work with over the summertime, right? And school starts next week, Tuesday. So, but we work together, or I work with them in the summertime. And so before we actually published this book, then I thought maybe I should run the story by these young ladies here and see what they say, if this is something they can really grasp and get and understand. Is it not too much adulty type language, or is it too technical, or is it something really good for children so they understand what we're talking about? And I tried, like I say, we had this conversation just before we entered here the studio about this big line in the sky, and I tried to explain it as easy as I possibly can. So I'm not really sure if if I did a good job, but I hope I did. What do you think? Yeah. Okay. All right. So I have my copy here too, for sure, and I would like to certainly thank Stella so much for the beautiful illustration here. And like I say, more than a year ago, I shouted this out already, and I was hoping that someone would jump on board and would help me publish this book, get this going. And first there was, I like the idea, blah, 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 but everybody was so busy and everybody didn't have the time and all that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, we picked it up again, and then we started working on it. And I reached out to Stella and also to Dan Fournier, a good friend of ours as well. And so and another friend of mine in Kelowna. So we actually started, the 4 of us, our book club, and then we started just brainstorming. What could the story be? What what do we think might make sense and all that kind of stuff. And actually the story just actually began with my friend in Kelowna. It was her idea, the kind of the basics type stuff. And then she all of a sudden decided she had no time anymore. She started a new job, and she got a little bit too overwhelmed and too busy. So unfortunately, she opted out. But we kept on going. We kept on kind of working on the story, and as time moved on, then Stella picked it up and wrote the storyboard, and then all of a sudden. She started illustrating, and and then all of a sudden, this is what the result is.
Next thing you know, you have a book.
Yes, now we have a book.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Bettina, and young ladies. We're so happy to have you here. And with our fellow unknown, but she is a special guest today, StellaQ. Welcome. And I want you to go ahead and, just get into talking about a little bit of kind of how this idea came, to have you involved with it as well.
All right. Well, thank you. First of all, I just want to say hello, everyone, and hello to everyone in the chat. Thanks heaps for joining, and it's always good to see everyone. And thank you very much, Ashley, for suggesting that we do this show for a start. I mean, that's great support, as usual. I mean, when it comes to supportive, Ashley gets the trophy. Thanks, Perm, for joining us as well. It's really good to see you. And thank you, Bettina, for joining us and, inviting me to be a part of all this for a start, because otherwise I wouldn't be here. But what I'm actually keen to hear first up, because I haven't heard it yet, is, and I know Perm can't stay too long, is a reaction sort of like, have you read it to your kids yet, Perm?
I haven't had the chance to yet. They came in Wednesday evening, and last night
No
they
worries.
had already picked a book out. So I wanted to read it to myself before I sat down and read it to them.
Do the vetting. Yeah, it's good. You might need to censor something.
Yeah, I don't know about you two shifty characters, so I gotta make sure it's all right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, got to run it by the adults. Anyway, I'm just keen to hear the first person's reaction of their children when they've read it, because we'll get there. We'll get there. I mean, I guess you guys have, Bettina, your little friends there have seen the book. What are their thoughts on it?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the story?
It's interesting, and it definitely teaches you stuff about the sky.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you learned something about the sky. You learned something about what we discussed, the troposphere, the stratosphere, that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, and you find it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Terrific. Well, that's a good thing, because that's sort of basically, I mean, there's so many aspects to the book, I think. It's funnily enough, I've been able to see it a lot clearer since I've sort of finished it and it's out and it's become a product. A lot of things have become a lot clearer about the whole project to me, because I can get my head out of it a little bit. And there's just so many aspects to it. It's so basically, for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, there's this 48-page paperback book, and it's a square sort of shape. And it's basically sort of about geoengineering, how to broach the subject of geoengineering for children, which is a challenge. But it's a little intro, because people, it's the latest subject. Everybody seems to be talking, well, at least in our realms, everybody seems to have noticed the sky a lot more in the last few years, particularly post 2020. And there's a lot of there is a lot of government programs going on that are absolutely insane, but there's also a lot of misinformation and disinformation as well within the online realm, which is a major concern, because the outcome of that is a social temperature based on fear mostly. And a lot of that fear, I mean, sure, there are things to, there's a healthy fear out there, but there's also a lot of unnecessary fear. And a lot of that is usually just through people not understanding something properly. I don't think most people are out to create fear, but they don't realize that passing on misinformation, and, I've been guilty myself in the past, and that's why I'm here now, because I used to spurt out a few things, and I know I've said this before, but just to recap quickly, I sort of stopped one day and just went, hang on a minute. I really need to look into this a little bit, because this is, we're starting to talk publicly about this stuff now. It's a little bit of responsibility here, So the logical thing to do is to go and educate oneself, so that what they're saying has actually some weight. And that's what I did. And I found that I was wrong about a few things, not really able to prove anything about a few other things. And I was right about a couple of other things. So, I think it's really important that people sort of stop and really think about what they're talking about and what they're spreading on social media, because it can be a good thing, but it's just become such a toxic environment. And what concerns me the most is the effect that it's having on the children. We talked about this the last show we did, actually. I won't go into it ad nauseum, but there is a heck of a lot of children requiring counselling these days for a condition that seems to be magnifying by the day. It's eco-anxiety, they're calling it. And it's basically, there's a lot of hopeless children, or children feeling a little bit hopeless about the future and about the state of the world and the climate, and it's all going to end soon. And it's like, well, no, it's not. We've been here for millions of years. Well, we haven't, but the climate has. You know what I'm saying. It's like, it's just not a healthy environment to be bringing children up in. They need to get involved, and because they are the adults of tomorrow. But they need to be offered solutions, not just despair. And I do very much feel for the people who are running around with their arms in the air and saying things that are a little bit out of control or cannot be proven, and their own children. I worry about that. What sort of environment must that be? So anyway, our little part of trying to offer some kind of appeasing in that sort of situation was to write a kid's book and try to approach the subject with not only a little bit of knowledge and a little bit of fact, but also a rekindling of critical thinking, I think. It seems to be a little bit lost in not only the education system, but socially. So, that's got a lot to do with what's behind this. And, it's a great opportunity for me personally to practice something that I've sort of been wanting to. I've sort of been a closet cartoonist for quite a few years, and I just thought, oh, here we go. I was doing a few things called Quoodles for the Propaganda Report newsletter for a little while, and that was fun. It's all just fun, really. But a few years ago, I found out actually that I didn't know, but my grandfather was an illustrator, a cartoonist during the World War II sort of era. I'm just trying to hunt down some of his works now. But that was a nice surprise. So it's sort of in the blood, funnily enough. It's been a really good opportunity. I don't want to ramble on too much longer and give someone else a chance to talk, but it's been great. It's very strange to sort of have something that you've created out of thin air and then it becomes a physical object. That's weird. But yeah, very happy with it. Very happy with the quality, the print quality and everything. That's good. And a big shout out to everyone that was involved. Of course, Bettina and Dan, but also to Jim Lee, who's a big inspiration behind it all. He's been working tirelessly with his climate viewer mission for years, doing the same thing. He actually got a few things wrong and he completely wiped and deleted everything and started again, which I think is absolutely beyond admirable. But that's the integrity of people that I've found in this circle. And shout out to Ed as well. And to Jeff, of course, meteorologist that I've been doing Whether or Not with. All that information was what helped sort myself out so that I'm not deluding people or myself, and really put things into perspective. And it also gave me a really healthy appreciation for the power of nature and how there's not a chance in hell that we can control nature. I mean, we might have a little effect here and there, but yeah, that's insane. So, just pass it over to someone else.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to tell Perm, if you want to jump in at all, if there's anything that you want to ask before, because I know you're a little bit more limited on time, so please feel free to do that.
Yeah, I actually have a few comments on that. Starting with, I know you said it was difficult trying to write the book that's going to be aimed towards the children, and I'm wondering if the effect won't actually be a bit easier with the children because they haven't been propagandized for their entire lives, and they have a much better imagination than us adults have. So I feel like they're open to learning more than we are. And and then as far as being wrong about things in the past, we've had civil conversations about this topic, and I've had conversations with Monica Perez about it, and I always did it from one side, and you guys were on the other. I come from an aviation background, and I always joked that I never filled up the chemtrail port on the airplane. But over the years, I've dove deeper into things, and between having Bettina and Jim Lee on and everything, it's actually made me more comforted because I found out that I wasn't, completely ignorant, but at the same time, there's a lot more out or going on than I would have ever guessed. So I feel like I've met you in the middle, and
Mhm.
that's been really good.
Yeah, what you said earlier about the children, that I think I can't help feeling, and I don't want to be like a, in a fear sense, but I am very concerned. I think it's a little bit of a race against time here to reclaim or claim the children's minds, because propaganda is just, oh man, it's just everywhere, isn't it? It's visual pollution, audio pollution. Everywhere you look, there's something being thrown at you. You want this, you want
And
that,
once
buy
you
that, buy
see
this.
it, you see it's everywhere.
It is. It is. It's tiring. It's exhausting. It's so nice to get a bit of peace and silence sometimes. But we've got to, it's sort of fight fire with fire. We've got to claim the children's minds, because we can't rely on the education system to do that, especially now. Look, it's clear what's happening with the education system. It's gone insane. So yeah, it's up to us to do that. It's as subtle as it is, it'll all add up. We have to fight this, or else they're just going to be jelly molds. So yeah, it's about the children's steering their thinking, I suppose, to not let them just disappear into the quicksand of propaganda.
And I think it helps just to teach them to not accept everything at face value and to question things, and that there's nuance to things, and they can, they can ask questions and look more into something.
100%. I mean, look at our generations. It's only taken a couple of generations for us. We had to reclaim our thinking. I mean, that's what 2020 has been a blessing for a lot of people. Some people were onto it way before that, of course. But we've sort of had to reclaim ourselves. So let's not let that happen to the future generations.
Yeah, and here, for example, so these two kids here, I mean, where they grow up and how they grow up here is absolutely incredible. And what we did last year, remember, we were just walking here on the fields, right, around the farm. So we live on a farm, and it's such a beautiful thing here. And living on a farm, you don't need to go far to find things, right? You find all kinds of herbs, you find all kinds of flowers. We identified the flowers. We actually made stuff out of flowers and or herbs, whatever we found, right? And that was so great. And I think you guys really enjoyed that, and I did enjoy that too. And then we took pictures. Remember, we started with the photography in the fields and all that kind of stuff. Took pictures of the cows, the steers, and now we've got 2 horses here running around. And it is, see, and this is so important in my opinion, to keep and to teach the kids what nature is, so they understand that. There's a funny little story I can tell you. It's just a quick, tiny little story. In Germany, there is a chocolate bar. It's called Milka, Milka, and it's wrapped in purple paper. and there's a cow drafted or drawn on these or painted on this paper, and it's a white cow on a purple paper. So when you asked if you asked a city child, what does a cow look like? Oh, it's purple. Right? This cow is purple. Are cows purple? No, they are not purple, right? Because these city people, they don't connect. They have absolutely no connection to nature anymore. They are completely disconnected when we are not. We are here and we enjoy nature and we love where we are. And most people actually tell me when I share pictures or little video clips here from where we live, they tell us that we live in paradise. Right? And we do. Yes. Yeah.
Wonderful. I certainly agree. I think that one of the things that I like about this section of the conversation is that you all have made a case for why a children's book. Why did you put the effort into creating a book for kids? And there's a million different reasons, and they're all very good and very valid. And I love that you care about exposing children to new information, and as you were talking about critical thinking and trying to cultivate a connection with what is the real world outside of a city or outside of a screen look like. So I think that's very, very valuable, and it's exciting, and I think that the point was made that yes, children have not been, they don't have the time in the trenches that we have of being propagandized. So I think it's really good to be able to introduce these new ideas to them, because they, as Stella was saying, they're working really, really hard to co-opt the minds of kids, and have for a very long time. I've mentioned this a million times, the propaganda that I was exposed to as a young child surrounding the environment. So one thing that I wanted to move to is the way that you both met. Now, I know that we've talked about this, but I thought that we could maybe give a little bit of background before we really get back into the production of the book of, finding your way, because Stella had said that she was, she was interested in this subject, but she had some wrong ideas. And so I want to hand it over to both of you, just go whoever. But how did you find Jim Lee, and why has Climate Viewer been so important, so impactful for helping you to really have some framework for what we see today and to try to cut through the fear and get some real information?
Yeah, well, I mean, I started digging into geoengineering. I don't know, when was that? The end of 2022, when we started Geoengineering Free Canada. And so it's quite a while now, obviously. And a friend of mine, we started this group together. So we co-founded this group and this organization. And she's an excellent researcher. Her name is Nadia, and she lives a few hours away from me. But she's an excellent researcher, and she found Jim's website, climateviewer.com. And since then, when you are new to that topic, then you have to find yourself, right? You have to find your way, and you have to find what you really can, what you wish to believe, and does that make sense to you? So there is these two. We know of Dane Wigington, and we do know about Jim Lee. So
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. But I mean, the number one credit I can give to Dane Wigington is that his marketing is so much better and so huge. Well, I shouldn't say so much better, but it's huge. It's massive, because there's lots of money involved, right? He's got the money to for his propaganda, and this is really propaganda. So I instantly knew that there is, it doesn't make sense, and I didn't like the fear porn, the fear mongering. I didn't like the way he did these little clips, this 90-second clips about something that is much bigger than what he actually put into these 90 seconds. How can you explain geoengineering in 90 seconds? I have a hard time explaining geoengineering in 25 minutes in my little video. This is just, a nutshell, and you can't, right? So the fear, right? There is always this fear. And I soon found out, no, that's not my thing. I didn't like the style. But again, Dane Wigington is someone who drags people into that topic because of he's so present, right? And he's got a huge following, and he's got a lot of people watching his stuff and all that kind of thing. So and then we found Jim, and then once we found Jim, it was clear that's the truth, and that makes sense. And so I started digging into geoengineering really, really deeply, and I was watching his shows. I was on his lives. I was in contact with him. I started traveling here, the province, raising awareness, putting on events and that kind of thing. And he was always there. He said to me, Bettina, I travel with you. So he was always with me. He was live streamed into my events, and he helped me. He supported me. He was absolutely an incredible mentor, teacher, and support. And so this is how I got into this. And this is a 24/7 job for me, almost, geoengineering now. And I think I have a name now in the geoengineering world, and people do kind of rely on me and my information, and they do appreciate what I'm doing. The appreciation does come from all over the world, as we can see here, right? So, and that's great. And I'm really very, very grateful, and I'm honored to be part of this family here. And I love what I'm doing. So yeah, and then this is how I met Stella, because she was a little after me in that group. Yeah, so this is how we met. And so once Stella joined the Climate Viewer chat and the Climate Viewer world, then this is how we met. Isn't that the truth, Stella?
Into the storm, yes.
Right into the storm, exactly. Yeah, that's right.
You're the hurricane. I'm trying to remember exactly how I came across Jim in the very first place. I think I came across his information first several times, and then I actually came across him, and I'm pretty sure it was on the Aussie General Knowledge podcast. Shout out to General Lee there, who had him on a couple of times. And that was sort of maybe my first view of Jim, the person. Anyway, either way, after I was, like when I was talking about before, I just wanted to go and get educated. I thought, well, the logical place to go is probably Climate Viewer. And yeah, sort of from there, I learned from different people, including Jeff a lot, primarily about the Lismore floods and what sort of was most likely behind them, and the connection with the Hunga Tonga volcano, etc., and all that sort of started to make more sense than just rhetoric that had been perpetually circling around social media. So, I think it's been a good road in the sense that it's not, as I've said before, it's not just a battle between the us and thems, if you want to break it down into black and white. It's not really just a battle of that anymore. It's a battle of truth, really. I mean, if people are in the truther community, let's call it that, because I don't know what else to call it. But, like, they sort of lost focus of the truth in a sense, and it's sort of become don't want to be proven wrong. I've got too much invested now. I don't want to be humiliated in front of my friends. I've said too much. Whatever it may be, it's just like, I don't know. I mean, just humble yourself at some point and just go, okay, well, I was probably wrong about that. And then you can be so much more productive and positive about things once that has occurred. And so, yeah, I think it's just important for people to just sort of stop and think about what they're talking about, because it's so easy to get caught up in the whirlpool, and just keep perpetually post, whatever, repost. But it's just the stopping and thinking. But anyway, I don't want to be too negative about it all. It's just a little way of us sort of trying to counteract that in a small way. And flailing around like blind people. None of us knew what we were doing. So it was fun to sort of just work it out as well. Although Bettina has she's got a photography book. She's been through that process before. But even the process itself was like the actual writing and what have you of the book is sort of one part of it. But the other part is sort of working out the whole publishing thing and having to read through, lots and lots and lots of stuff to sort out what means what and what you have to do and what would be good to do and what's required of you by law. There's a lot in it, actually. And we've sold a few copies, but that's most of what's that money is actually going to go towards what I've found is a thing called legal deposit. I knew nothing about this prior to doing this book, but I think I may have mentioned this, but I'll just briefly mention it again because we're on the subject. When somebody publishes anything, whether it be a book, magazine, article, PDF, whatever it may be, even government paraphernalia, brochures, etc., it has to be there has to be a copy of it given to the Australian National. Well, it's not just Australia; it's global. But I'm going to talk about Australia because I know about that. The Australian National Library, and as well as that, there has to also be a copy given to the State Library in New South Wales, where I am at, the New South Wales Parliamentary Library, and also the University of Western Sydney Library. So there's 4 copies that have to be provided at our expense. There's no recouping anything. I've looked into all that as well, spent hours and hours looking into whether there was some kind of little grant or some sort of help you could get to pay for all that. Nah, nothing, not a sausage. So because we're only doing it in physical form, we're not doing an electronic PDF, therefore we have to provide it in physical form to the libraries. So that's sort of, that's where the first lot of income will be going. And we've just got enough to cover that. What apparently Bettina thinks that Canada doesn't require that, and I'm not really sure about that myself, but anyway, if we might have to do it over there as well. So yeah, it's quite a process, and there's things involved. The ISBNs, you can get free ones, or you can pay for them and get your own, and then you've got total control over it. So it's worth doing that. So there's that, that bit of expense. There's postage for things. You've got to order proofs as well. That costs a book each time you do that. So yeah, there's a little bit of expense involved, a little bit of investment, but it's not about the money anyway. We're not in it to make money. But it'd be nice, if you can cover your expenses, that would be nice.
Yeah, for sure. And I do want to get into a little bit later, a little bit more of the inside baseball and what is it like to do a self-publishing and writing your own book. Now, I wanted to go over to Perm. Perm, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I just want to say I have to hop off. I really wanted to come on and just congratulate you two for actually bringing this physical media to fruition, and it's already been purchased in multiple countries, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good on you, and I look forward to seeing how big it can really get.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Perm, and thank you very much for your personal support as well all along the way and your purchase.
Absolutely. Looking forward to
really
reading it.
Thank you. And these 2 young ladies here, they want to know if you have more questions for them because they need to leave as well. Is there anything you want to ask? Then feel free to throw a question at them.
I just want to thank them very much for being here and for partaking. And basically, I hope that your fee is fairly small for creative consultation in the project along the way. But appreciate. We've had a lot of feedback from you, you young ladies. So
you charge me for being here.
I appreciate that. Been good to bounce it off the young.
Now we can leave. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, young ladies. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, great. So we talked about a little bit about how you both made your way. You ended up finding Gemly's work, and really it was something that because you were searching, because you had questions about, what is going on with the climate, the geoengineering, how much control do they really have. And I know, from Stella's perspective, she has been interested in this for, many years, even before kind of finding the climate viewer space. So once you meet each other and you start kind of talking, how, and I know we've talked about it a little bit, but as far as kind of working together as a team on the book, let's go through for people, what did that look like? So we're going to write a book. We're going to self-publish. So I wanted to kind of get into a little bit of the process. What did that look like for both of you working together and kind of deciding, who's doing what and all of that stuff? To give us a little information on that.
Whoa. So, well, we started just chatting and had absolutely no idea what's involved, right? We just wanted to get this book done somehow. And I knew that Stella offered, obviously, her artistic, kind of way of doing things, the crayons. And I was just there too, because it was, I had this wild idea, and I was just there, and I was following with the, through the story, and then we talked about the story, but it took a while, right? It took, I don't know how many meetings, and we had to, well, obviously Australia and Canada with these 2 time zones involved as well. I'm in British Columbia, and our third co-author is in Quebec, and he is 3 hours ahead of me. So we had to coordinate this, and we had to find time, and so there was a time when we actually almost met. Yeah, I believe we met almost every week, when it got really to the point where the story was roughly drafted, and then we got through, we went through the details, and did this and that, and how really do we want to include the carbon dioxide? I remember that we had a big discussion about, do we want to include that? Oh no, that's too complicated, threw that out. And so it was back and forth. So it took us really quite a while to finalize then the story. And I remember that until close to the end, we weren't sure if this is the right story. But it was the right story, but was it really what we wanted to deliver and what we wanted to get out? But then you have to find a deadline, right? This is it. Now it's enough, because you can go on and on and on and on and on, because geoengineering is huge. There is so much to know about, and there's so much to learn about, and there's so many different things you can, is this geoengineering? Does it make sense here? And that kind of thing. And then obviously, because of children, so how can we properly word this so that it really does make sense? So it was a process. It was fun, and we had certainly some personal chats prior to when we got into medias res, so into the story and into the book as well. So we had to share a few personal things as well. There was lots of things going on in the background. Everybody had their certain things they were going through, and especially me with the rallies and events and all that kind of stuff. So there was lots of other things. And certainly the propaganda, and it's still there. It's not coming to an end, obviously, and we have to still step up and stand up and speak out and be there. And it sometimes was really, really draining. There was sometimes it was a bit too much, but we wanted to get this finalized. There was a bit of a break in between. There was a bit of I don't know, maybe a month or something that we had to let it go. We had to just, wait for a moment. And then we picked it up again. And so that's basically what happened. Yeah.
And just to carry on the point about the writing for children sort of thing, that is definitely a challenge, in the sense that it's, like, as a graphic designer, it reminded me very much of the same principles of doing a logo, for instance. The art is in finding the simplicity. So it's very difficult to make something simple. And it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of drafts, and a lot of chopping things out. So that is sort of the hardest part, I think, is being able to just sort of, I mean, we just kind of nudged on the topic of geoengineering. It wasn't, I don't think we've even put the word geoengineering in the book at all. It's just more about observation and thinking and seeking knowledge from somebody who knows, and then coming up with a solution or a potential solution. So that's what it was really about, with the subject happened to be on noticing some lines in the sky, and the result of, or the possible potential results of that. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't too heavy. And as you know, we did talk about things like bringing CO2 and everything into it. It's like, no, it's not a science class, really. It's just it's a kid's book with a little bit of an educational twist to it. So yeah, that is a hard thing. Writing children's books is not a simple thing to do, like it might look like. And I'm by no
Right.
means a professional or anything, but yeah.
And you're trying to present the information in a simple, understandable way to convey a complex message and complex subjects. So that is quite an art form, actually. And I think it's worth mentioning and discussing about that. There's a
Yes.
special Buster with a special smile. So there's I do want us to get to some of these special touches and maybe some Easter eggs that we may find in there. And one of the things that I also wanted to mention is that it's interesting to hear you both talking about the dynamic of how we came up with the idea and what was the process like really trying to get this project off the ground. Of course, I have a little bit of background because I knew what Stella was working on and the progress and, you know, some of the meetings and things like that. But it's also interesting to have a team making a project happen, and then the different kinds of personalities needed to make it. So you do have to have the due diligence element, but you also have to have the pull the trigger element and go ahead and make it happen. And so I think that we can find balance with a team in that way to have a project come to fruition. So, one of the things that I wanted to get into definitely, and I really think that that's one of the showcases, one of the, the crown jewels of the book is the fact that this is hand drawn by someone that we know, and that is really, really special. And I mean, I just want people to understand that this is not using graphic design. Stella very clearly says that no AI was used in the production of this book. And I think that really, really matters in a time where we know that there's all kinds of AI slop out there, and that real people wrote this. A real person drew this by hand. This is real art. That is very special to me. So I was hoping that we could, and both of you talk about that from your perspective about what does it mean to have hand-drawn art in the book. And then I want Stella to talk about some of her inspirations and then maybe some Easter eggs that can be found in the book.
That's awesome. No, I'm really, really glad that you brought this up, actually, about the AI, because as I was saying, like, there is a lot of aspects to this book, and that is definitely one of them. Just in my own thing, and I know I'm repeating myself a little bit, but maybe other people didn't hear the last show, but as a creative, I know I'm not completely replaced, but I'm feeling very kind of gradually being replaced, as we all are in our different professions. But creative industry seems to be the most, or the least revered or necessary, I suppose. We all need food and shelter, but we all don't need, creative. We don't need books. Well, we do, but you know what I'm saying.
We do, but I do, and not to interrupt you, but I just wanted to say that I think that that's a really important point that can easily be lost because it may not be considered to be essential. But actually, I think
essential.
that we can see what brutalist architecture, for example, does to the human spirit. And that's just a tiny little thread. But I think that when we start thinking about things in that way, these like very ugly, very square, colorless things, then we can start to realize that type of architecture, that type of aesthetic is an intentional thing to be harmful to the human spirit. So I think
Absolutely.
that maybe everyone doesn't know that, but then when we see the counteract, when we see that there is still a person out here doing this, then I think that we can really start to bring back our appreciation of AI did not do this. This was a person, and they put their heart and their soul into creating this and drawing this and coloring this and with these beautiful colors, and that matters. So I do hope that your project will bring some light and appreciation to that. But I do agree that there is an underappreciation for the creatives, but in these troubled times, I think that we will see the importance of real human input more and more, and I hope that's going to be valued by other people.
Yeah, no, thanks for saying that. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
so too. And remember, Stella, we wanted to actually do a reel and so real photography together with your drawings. Remember, that was an idea too. So I'm a photographer, and I could have taken pictures of the sky or something, or a flower or something like that. That would have probably, this book wouldn't be on the market now.
No. It was sort of, there was a movie back in the, I don't know if it was the 70s or the 80s or something, kids movie, and it was sort of cartoon animation done over real photography type backgrounds. And I remembered that being quite an interesting medium at the time, because there wasn't anything else like it. And I was very, very little. But I thought that might be nice to sort of try to incorporate that, but then it just got complicated really fast, mainly because of the time zone thing. So it just would have really drawn it out probably another year or so. So we kind of abandoned that idea. But I mean, it is a mixed medium. Basically, I'll just go through the run through. If there's any artists listening, they might be interested. But I just love the organic stuff. I've tried to do digital art, and even though I do a lot of digital art for my profession, but when it comes to this sort of thing, I just like the, it's like holding a book. I just like the physical medium. So it's all pencil and paper for me. So it all starts with pencil and paper, and it's always the cheapest possible sketch pads from the $2 shops. I like to be able to go, you don't need expensive stuff to make art. You can just do it with anything. I could do it on toilet paper. In fact, I should do that. A whole book on toilet paper. Should make it political. Anyway, so yeah, pencil and paper, and then I go over it with a fine liner, black thing. And then sometimes I might scan it at that stage in case later on I want to do something different with it. And then I will get my, they're watercolor pencils, but I don't use them that way. I just use them as pencils because they're sort of almost like a crayon-y feel. They're really thick, they put out the color. I love them. They're really rich. So I use them. And then I scan, and then I put it into Photoshop, clean them up a little bit. I might, just pimp them up, put a little bit of lipstick on here and there. And then that's it, pretty much, churn it out. So that's the process. It's all fairly organic until it gets to Photoshop, which is my old non-subscription CS6, if anybody's interested. I do not feed Adobe. And it's no AI involved there. So, yeah, that's the process. No AI, it's all organic.
I love it. And can you touch on some of the, not too much detail, but just let's talk about Easter eggs, that how many are there? What are some fun things to be on the lookout for? And if there special input, special details, anything like that you want to touch on.
I'd just like to give a shout out to Buster.
Yeah.
Buster the dog with a very funny smile. And I don't know whether he's going to be up for some sort of copyright percentage, but we can have a meeting about that.
He said he's willing to negotiate.
Okay, good. All right. We'll stick a clause in the contract. Anyway, Buster is actually Ashley's dog. And she had no idea I was actually including Buster in the book. She knew I was doing a book. She didn't know a whole lot about it. It was a book. And anyway, she posted a photo of Buster while I was sort of at the character development stage, so fairly early in the piece. It was about a year ago at least. She posted a photo of Buster just in, I think it was in our DMs when we were chatting one day, and I just went, oh my gosh, that dog is adorable. He's got this underbite going on. It's hilarious. So it was a must. He had to be in the book. So yeah, Buster is based on the real life Buster. Shout out, Buster.
Yeah, that was a very special surprise when I ordered my copies of the book, and I'm looking through and I see Buster and read the description, Buster the dog with a special smile. So a little background on him is that he's probably about 8 years old, but he was a rescue. The local rescue had posted him a picture. We've had him for almost 4 years now, but so he was with a foster parent. But we saw him and he had, his cute little smile, and we just decided that we wanted to bring him into our home. And so he's been part of the dynamic duo of Buster and Molly ever since. And he was very flattered and very excited to see his likeness in the book. I can tell you that.
I hope I did him justice. Yeah. Hope I got
You
his teeth
certainly
right.
did. You certainly did. It was very touching. Yes.
And another interesting thing that happened was I had actually already developed the Daisy character with her clothes and everything. And then after that, Ashley posted a photo, again in our DMs, of her niece. She'd just been with her nieces. And there's her niece. I think she was jumping up and down on a bed or something like that. And she had this T-shirt on with a great big daisy on the front, just like the character I'd just done. And to me, that was just like, wow. That's a total confirmation. So,
Yeah,
and actually,
it was-
I couldn't sort of really tell her, but I said to her, one day I'm going to repost this photo and you'll understand why.
Yes, and that was another special surprise. And I will say that Stella had very good operational security, because I did not know anything. Like, I knew the very, very basics that she was working on, but I didn't know a lot other than that. So these are all recent things that I found out. So it was very special and exciting, and very, very lovely.
Yeah.
It's good fun.
It really is. And these little details here, when you open the book, you open this and the first page here, when you look at the shadows here, how they fade, all these little details.
That happens to be a duck standing, looking.
What did I say? Didn't I say duck? What did I say?
Oh, did you? I'm sorry, I might have missed that.
Okay. So how they fade. It's so, so detailed, and so, I don't know, it's just beautiful. I really love this artwork.
Yeah, full of special touches. So, and that's one thing too. We are going to talk about where you can get the book, but I just really want to encourage people to support a human artist, support real people who are doing real work, real activism, because they care, not because they're going to be making a ton of cash. This is a labor of love. And I know that Stella and Bettina have been in touch this whole time, but I've been in touch with Stella the whole time. And I know how much work and time and effort and love has been poured into this project. So this is really an opportunity for us to step up and get yourself a couple of copies, get one for you and get a couple to give away to people, so we can really support these projects and the people that we care about who are doing the work that we care about. Because this is, when we talk about solutions, this is one of them. And if we all work together to support this project, we can make a big difference.
Yeah, all organic artists and organic people, organic projects. And of course, by physical media, shout out to Keels. And just before I forget quickly, while we were talking about the cookies thing, I want to put there's a little challenge out that I'm going to put out there for the owners of the book, or those who end up with a copy in their hands. This will only probably make sense to my circle, but my lizard friend, Stumpy, he makes a cameo in the book. And I don't know if anybody has found Stumpy yet, but there's the Find Stumpy challenge. It's not quite as difficult as Where's Wally, but unless you kind of know it's sort of to look for him, you may not see him, although I think children are usually more observant than grown-ups. They'll probably find him.
That's exciting. I love stuff like that. So definitely get your copy and do the Find Stumpy challenge. And you can always let us know when you find Stumpy. Feel free to email us and we'll get our contact information out there a little bit later.
Yeah, I'll pop it in the comments underneath one of these videos.
Yep, I'll do that.
All that stuff.
And you should have seen Jim's face when we when he had to look at this, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" So I took pictures of him. It was like, oh,
Yeah.
that was not hilarious. That was too funny. Yeah.
You've
Well,
just got to hope that people aren't offended when you do a portrait. I mean, I'm not Da Vinci, you know.
yeah,
is it?
no, he was not offended at all. He had such a great time when we ran the story by him and the whole book by him. And big shout out to him. Really, he is such a great friend. He's such a great supporter. And so I'm so grateful that I'm part of his group, and that he supports me so much. Yeah, so big love to Jim Lee at climatebureau.com.
Absolutely. And just a very quick shout out to our friend Joe, who passed away in April. I would have loved him to have seen this book, and I know he would have loved it. And he was one of the most supportive people. So, yeah,
That's true.
big shout out to Joe.
Yeah, he would have been cheerleading for sure.
Also, I'm going to be sharing this with my friend Richard Gregory, who's his 81st birthday today. He was actually my very, very first art mentor, and I think I must have been around about age 5 or 6 when I first found him. And many, many decades later, he became a client of mine, which is quite amazing. So just a big shout out to Richard there.
Happy birthday, Richard. Thank you for joining us.
I don't know if he'll ever hear this, but just in case. Yeah. So just want to say thank you very much to everybody for the support and the ongoing support, and just, really hope that people get something out of this or pass it on, or just, remember to buy physical media and support local art that's not AI. We've got to fight this thing. It's a devouring kill machine, this AI. It's a soul infestation, soul destroyer. Can't let it get too much of a hold, but it's got a fairly good. It's just changing every week, isn't it? It's changing every day, actually, accelerating. So we've just got to keep spurting out lots of creative stuff and try to, stay real.
Yep, support real people, real activism, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's important.
Now, if either of you have anything else that you want to say on that topic, that's totally fine. Feel free to do that. And then after that, I wanted to move into walking us through, for example, if somebody did want to undertake their own project, if they're inspired by this story, walk us through what does that look like from, maybe not all the ins and outs, but from some high level kind of technical things that they're going to have to go through. Stella touched on it a little bit earlier, but I wanted to kind of walk through that process. And, once even towards the end, when you're saying, okay, we're done with the story, we're done with the illustration, we're ready to send this thing, then what does that process look like? What timeline are we looking at?
Yeah, so once we finally decided that this is the end, we got not going to do any more, and we can't change it, and we don't want to change it anymore, then okay, what was the next step? So then, yes, we had to upload. So Stella, obviously, she had it all in a PDF document. And then once you get on your self-publishing platform, so we used lulu.com. This is what we used. And we used their template as well. So we decided. See, this is another thing you have to understand. You need to find your publisher or your platform you want to publish with. So there is price differences. I use two different. I use Lulu as well for my photo books, and I use another one that's called Blurb. And but Blurb is much different than Lulu. There is different sizes, there is different pricing, there is different things. So you got to look into different options and different platforms, and then you have to decide: is it worth going here or going there? Or what size do I use? Of these self-publishing platforms, they do offer global distribution. Global distribution requires an ISBN. This is what Stella briefly touched on as well. In Canada, you don't have to buy an ISBN. You just have to create a government account, unfortunately, but it is all government stuff. So if you want to publish globally or you want to sell a book in a store, they will ask for an ISBN number. So this is obviously a requirement. That's important to have. And then here in Canada, like I say, you have to open up an account for these ISBN distributions and numbers. And then you don't have to pay for them. They are free, but they are the real ISBN numbers. So there is two options as well within the publishing process. Once you publish through your publisher, your platform, you can either have their free version of an ISBN, or you have your own ISBN, which you either purchase, what Stella did in Australia, or I can have here. I can inquire here in Canada, but for free. But it's a government thing. So there is two. Obviously, that's a little bit of a difference in each country. So you've got to do some research on where and what and how to find an ISBN number, and is there any cost involved?
Yeah. Can I just intervene there just for a moment?
Sure.
So
Oh, yeah.
just to make sure that everyone knows what I mean, the ISBN, most people probably know, is the thing on the back of the book that looks like a little sort of barcode thing. And that's required on the back of the book and on the inside first page. So there has to be the actual number as well. That's a requirement, like a legal requirement. There's all that stuff, the blurb that's in the front left-hand side, second page or whatever it is. That has to be there, or else it's not basically accepted. And that is just basically to get it on the system. So there's archival purposes. And I'm going to say now there's probably censorship, like they just want to know it's sort of like the social mind of the era. So there is the archive, and I think that's valuable. I can totally see value in that. There's also, I just wanted to also interject. I think this is a really important point that I now can pass on that I didn't know at the time. But I think if you want to make sure that you can be on the most platforms possible, go on to quite a few different platforms and look at the template sizes of the book that you're going to do. Because, I mean, I could have done anything. I could have done A4, I could have done square, whatever, because we were looking at that before I'd even put pen to paper. So if you're in that mode, just go and look at lots of different platforms. Find maybe a size that is general, so it's on all the platforms, because that way you won't have to do a whole bunch of different size formats. You want to be able to stay square. If you're square, stay square, sort of thing. Because we were a little bit restricted. We chose the square format, but for some reason in that format, unless it's hardcover, it doesn't qualify for global distribution. And to make it hardcover then makes the price of the book way too expensive for a children's book, you know. We're not making very much on each one because the printing costs are astronomical, and they've gone up a lot in the last few years particularly. So I just wanted to say, yeah, it's just worth maybe checking out all the template sizes of many platforms and choose something that's common to all of them, and that will be your friend, basically. ISBN is International Standard Book Number. So it's just a system.
Yeah.
And it means that, you know, everyone who sells the book, if it's in a library or in a bookstore or something, they can just scan it with their, you know, laser thing, and all the info comes up. So that's why it's kind of necessary.
Yeah, exactly. So there's lots of things to consider but we didn't really in the beginning. We were just starting our book, and then at the end, then we started looking into more of these kind of details. And then we chose obviously Lulu, and then, like I say, Stella had the story and all her artwork in a PDF format, in a PDF document, and then you upload this onto this publisher. We are the publisher. This is just a publishing platform. It's a vehicle, sort of.
Yeah, it's print on demand.
Exactly, it's print on demand, and so this is how it works, right? And then, like I say, there is these restrictions in the size. So when you decide you want to go square, then you have to find this particular platform which provides these kind of sizes or this particular size. And what Stella just pointed out, is it available in a soft cover, or does it have to be a hard cover? All that kind of stuff. So, and what is the cost involved? You got to look into the costs. And yeah, so this is how it works. And then with the two of us, we were on a Zoom call, and then shared screen, and she uploaded this PDF into Lulu, and then we had to fiddle a little bit with the cover, because the cover is a different size, because there is this here, which the spine, exactly, thank you. Yeah, the spine, which is obviously makes it a little wider and that kind of thing. So, and then she had to resize the cover and the back cover and all that kind of stuff. So, and then all of a sudden, boom, it was there. And then ISBN, and then there was a little bit of a hiccup with the ISBN. Remember, we had to,
Yeah, it just gets a little bit complicated, because there's a lot of blurb that you've got to read through, and it's boring as hell. But you have to, because if you miss something, you might be producing a book that's not going to be right, and then you've got to pay for a copy to figure out that that's not right, and it adds up and everything.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly. So yeah, so we did a lot of that kind of detail work as well, and then all of a sudden it was published and it was there.
Well, actually, not all of a sudden, because after you've actually created the book, you've got to do the layout, and then you've got to create the cover, which is like all separate files and everything like that. I mean, there's all that sort of under the bonnet background stuff that, I mean, it's just lucky because I happen to be a graphic designer, so I know how to do the layout and everything. But if somebody who doesn't do that stuff produces a book, they will have to learn how to do their layout themselves, or get somebody to do it for them. So, I mean, that stuff's all got to be technically correct to produce a book that's readable, because if you don't, no one's going to buy it. So, you're muted, Ashley.
Sorry, I had a little coughing issue there, but I got water. I'm all good.
I hope you're all right.
So from the timeline of when you got everything, okay, we're ready to go, we're publishing on Lulu, how long did it take? Now, in my experience, and you can let me know, it was very fast. From once Stella said that the link is up and running and Bettina already has it published on her Substack, I was able to have my book, my own copy, probably within 10 days. And I thought that was pretty impressive, from, brand new, just being published on the site, and mailing, printing, everything. And of course, like, my copies look really, really lovely. So it's been pretty quick in my experience.
Yeah, it really is. So I got my copies really fast too. So yes, yeah, and I love the quality. It's really good quality. It's the perfect size. So I really like the square format, and I think that is fast. Yes, but the work prior to that took some time.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend Lulu. I think they're quite a good service, in the sense that I've placed a few orders now, and yeah, they're very prompt. They come quite quickly. I've had the same comment from people who've bought some copies. So, yep, tick to Lulu, and their communication is sort of a little bit saturating. So you've sort of got to, maybe unsubscribe from a few things, but they certainly they've got lots and lots of videos and things. The process sort of, it's all so simple. Just do this. It's like, well, no, not really. It's sort of not. You do have to spend hours and hours sitting down and reading stuff and that. But it's just like any learning curve, boring. But at least now that bit's done. And if we do another book, we'll kind of know what we're doing. Or, I mean, I know I've got a couple of ideas for books and stuff, so I can sort of probably concentrate more on the actual book, and then just whack it through Lulu or whatever you. And Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, certainly. I think
or auntie
that
sometimes in this time.
The learning curve at trying to go through a process like this is quite significant. But of course, once you go through it and you have your bearings, then it gets much easier, much more quick, and much more efficient after that. So But I think that's a really good lesson, not only to give some background on what you went through to get this book to publishing, but also just for other people if they happen to be interested in trying to pursue creating their own book.
Contact us. Talk to us.
There's heaps and heaps of videos and stuff on YouTube. There's nothing that you can think of that's not on there. So yeah, there's plenty of advice out there. There's, you know, I mean, with YouTube these days, there's no reason not to make your dreams come true or make your projects happen. Let's say, let's not get too unicorn and fairy tale, but you can. It's possible now. It's just, you know, the biggest investment is time. That's the biggest investment, and it's the hardest, probably the most precious thing that you've got. And you know, you've got to have the time to be able to put in it and have the headspace. That's the other thing. I mean, some people have got these great ideas, but they're bringing up little kids and stuff, and it's a lot harder. I mean, they can still do it, but it means late nights or really early mornings and stuff. So it just, you know, it's up to the individual. If you really want to do something, you can make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So as far as the process or the book or any of these other topics that we've covered tonight, I just want to make sure that you both have an opportunity to you know, to be heard excuse me, to be heard on how the book came about, on what the creative process was like, and your thoughts on geoengineering and Jim Lee and all of that stuff. I just want to make sure that we're very comprehensive in covering anything that you want to talk about. So I just wanted to open up the floor to see if there's anything that we did not touch on that you would like to touch on and make sure that we mentioned in this show.
Wow, I don't think so. I think we really covered almost everything because, like I say, from my wild idea to the actual really physical book and product, I think we did cover it quite well. I think so. Yay, there's Daisy. And speaking of another book, so when you go to the end of that book, and that was the beginning of a whole long story, the story of a lifetime, Daisy's life. So we'll see what's next.
Yeah, it leaves it open to a sequel. So yeah, I thought about that. But yeah, no, it's been good. And again, thank you very much to the supporters. Thank you again to Ashley for, you know, doing the show and everything. It's been I think we've definitely probably gone over everything pretty deeply. But yeah, just organic, physical media. That's about it.
Okay, good. Well, I did, you know, this is something that I've been excited about. I was excited when I got my copies. I was very excited to speak to both of you on really getting, you know, just getting the whole information about the book and how it came to be. And now here we are. So once again, I want to encourage everybody to support these people. These are activists, they are artists, they are people that really care about what is happening to us. So please support them. And in the show description, I have the link for the to be able to purchase your own copy on Lulu. Sometimes dropping a link in YouTube chat is a little bit weird, but it is in the description. It will also be in our show notes. And then I know at some point, and this has been a little up and down, but Stella's also working on getting her own website going. So we will make sure to let you know about that. And then Bettina has her Substack at Geoengineering Free Canada. So we'll have the links for that as well in our show notes. And then I did drop in our chat the email for you to be able to get in touch with us if you know, want to share stories or, excuse me, images of your children. I mean, not the kid, but maybe like their little hand pointing at the Find Stumpy challenge or anything like that. Please feel free to do that. And you can send that to our Union of the Unknowns at gmail.com website. And Stella, were you saying something?
I'm sorry. There was one thing that I did want to point out, and it was out of my head, but I've just thankfully remembered. I just want to give a really big shout out and a hug to my mum, actually, because she was involved in this book too, in the sense that I just thought she sits there and does all these little doodles and things. She's always done like little bugs and stuff since I was a kid. So she's been a big inspiration. She's a major talent. She's very talented as an artist and a writer. So I just said, hey, do you want to just draw a few little bugs and things. So she drew some bugs and I coloured them in and whatever. And so she's had a little hand in this book too. And she was
I
absolutely
love that.
chuffed to get a little copy and see some of her bugs there
That's great.
in print. So little shout out there to, well, big shout out there to Mum, actually. Love you. She's great.
Yeah, that's great. And I would like to add that you can also find links to the book on our website, geoengineeringfreecanada.com/book. So when you go on geoengineeringfreecanada.com, there is the menu, and then you'll find the book as well. And you can find a few more details, a few little pictures on there as well, and certainly how to order it, and so it's on our website too. It's not just on Substack, but it's on website as well.
Yeah, Substack. There's also chemtrailfacts.com/book, which Jim Lee put us together, just one of those short URLs, because the Lulu URL, it just goes on for miles and miles and miles.
Yeah,
so
it's very long.
he just made one of those short eeny weeny teeny weeny type things, and so there's a few ways of finding it. You can just go to Lulu and type in Bettina Engler or StellaQ, and it'll come up. So many routes to the same destination, Grasshopper.
Yeah. And we'll drop these links in our show notes as well. So feel free. And of course, if you're searching and you have problems, reach out to us. No problem whatsoever.
Yep.
Now, having said that, and having had a really good conversation about the project, I'm very happy for both of you. I'm excited about this. I'm excited for people to have their physical copies. And I hope that we did the process and the story and the love that was put into it justice here. And I want to thank you very much, both of you, for your time and coming on to talk about this with us. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to hearing what, other people think when they get their own copies.
Thank you very much.
You.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ashley, for having me tonight. It's been a pleasure as always.
Absolutely. I love speaking with both of you. It's always a really, really fun conversation. So thank you so much. I also want to thank everybody in the chat over on Rumble and YouTube. We really appreciate you checking in. Even if you just drop a quick hello, we're always so happy to see you there, and we really appreciate that. And then the last note is just that you can find all of our information on our Linktree page, which is unionoftheunknowns.com. And that also has our email address. So if you want to get in touch with somebody on the team, then I can help you do that. It has a voicemail, it has our Discord, all of that good stuff. So please feel free to check that out as well. And we would love to hear from you. Once again, ladies, thank you both so much. And we will see everybody soon.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Union of the Unknowns. You can find new episodes every week on all your favorite podcasting networks.